Okay, how we doing? I'm still a little sour grapes, everyone. So hopefully it doesn't come through in the video too much. But if you guys remember, last time I was here, we were talking about the merger, not merger, but the fact that Conan the Barbarian is now being published by Titan Comics, and I admitted in that video that I don't actually know anything about Titan Comics. And so, like we do, we got educated. So I spent the last week reading Titan Comics. Um, and, look, kind of defeating the purpose of the video if I say it now, but I'm going to anyway. This stuff's pretty dang good. Um, I started just by going on their website and having a look, and I was shocked at the amount of licensed comics they have, from video games like Life is Strange, which, love it or hate it, there's a fan base out there for it. And I think they did the Sea of Thieves one. I could be wrong about that now. This is why it helps to take notes, people, but I don't do that. Um, Endless Space was another one that was cool. They did Horizon, which terrible game, but it's got fans. So they sort of branch around and do a few things. But what caught my eye were two things in particular. One was a spy comic called Gun Honey, and the other was Blade Runner. So they did a bunch of not adaptations, actual separate stories, but in sort of like I think it's canon to the actual universe, but in the Blade Runner universe, which is really, really cool. Um, so we'll start with Gun Honey. So I went into this one. It's a pulpy spy series about a chick called Gun Honey, and she has a unique ability of sneaking in and getting out of places and getting weapons to people who need weapons. Essentially, that's the shtick. Um, and she gets a weapon to the wrong person and ends up teaming up with a secret agency type government employee to sort of make wrongs right. A couple things that I took away from this is it's very, very similar to a movie called The Protege, starring Maggie Q and Samuel L. Jackson. So there's a lot of similarities in the story to that and to Gun Honey. And honestly, I don't know which one came first, or anything like that. But someone definitely copied someone, or will we say influenced by someone there. But this is a very pulpy comic, and the writing was just okay. There were some plot holes, etc. But the thing that shocked me with this, and maybe because when you we're about to talk about BBs, when you read a lot of IDW, Image, DC, etc., like you kind of get sensitized to their way of telling stories. So when you flip the page on Gun Honey and you see straight up like full nudity and sex, it's like, oh, okay, we're doing this, are we? And yes, we are. So it was kind of interesting. And the reason I'm making a point to bring that up is because, like I said, the whole reason we're doing this is because the Conan license was taken from Marvel and has gone over to Titan. So I was immediately like, okay, well, Conan, this will help Conan. Like, Conan has to be, violent and full of nudies and stuff. That's the aesthetic of Conan. So that was good. Um, and yeah, if you're interested in spy stuff and shootings and pulpy sort of stories, Gun Honey was fine. You just got to be comfortable with some like obvious fan service, like 1990s fan service, which was nostalgic for me. So then next up, the other comic I looked at, like I said, as I read the Blade Runner comics that they've got. And they've got a few of them. So we'll talk about the first one, otherwise it's going to go forever. The first Blade Runner comic, it's set in 2020 something, and it's about, without spoiling anything, a female Blade Runner who runs into a replicant. And if you're not a fan of Blade Runner, I'm not going to explain this. Just watch the movies. They're great. It runs into a replicant that gets the best of her, and then decades later, or a decade or so later, she's still on the job, and he sort of appears again, and she goes down the rabbit hole, or what she calls the itch, and like hunts him down essentially, and conspiracies flow out from there. And what I took away from this one was the storytelling in this was phenomenal. Action was okay, but the storytelling was great. It was clearly written by someone who cares about the Blade Runner universe and understands it, which was awesome. And the characters were awesome. It wasn't afraid to get graphic. It wasn't afraid to show some nudity, although nowhere near to the level of Gun Honey. It wasn't that fan servicey. But you know, it was a little more raw than what you normally get out of most mainstream comics. But the storytelling was excellent. And because of that, I very, very much think that Conan's in good hands, guys. Like I haven't read some of their other adaptations. These were just the two that caught my interest. I want to check out their Phantom of the Opera comic next because I've got to do that, and I want to check out their Endless Space comics because it's endless space. But yeah, I'm impressed so far with what I'm reading, and I highly suggest you guys check out Titan Comics if you haven't already. I hadn't until I read this story, and I'm glad I did. So something good came out of this. But that's all I wanted to do. I said in the last video that I was going to look into Titan a bit more, and I didn't really know much about them. And I've done that now, and I can say with a pretty decent amount of confidence that Conan's in good hands. If you guys have read Titan Comics, let me know what your favorite ones are in the chat below, and if I should do any like bigger reviews on any of their particular comics. Or if there's anything you would like me to see. This was really fun looking into a comic book company I wasn't familiar with. So yeah, if there's stuff out there that you want me to look into, leave some comments down below. If there's any stories you'd like my opinions on, do so as well. You may not like the answers I give you though. And I'll see you guys whenever I make another one of these.